Hello. Welcome, everybody, to the Detroit Cast. Mike and Jay, shalom, Biggie. Normally at this point I would say, hello, Jay, but I can't do that. Instead, Jay's not here, but one of my favorite, the one, the only, the beautiful, the gorgeous, wonderful, one of my favorite people on planet Earth these days, Jenny Feterovich is here. Hi, Jen. Hi, Jenny. How are you?
Introduction.
Yeah. I've had more fun with you over the last few weeks than anyone on earth. I just love you. I think you're so funny and talented. And it's awesome.
You.
Yeah, welcome back.
Thank you.
And I fucked up so bad. I'll kill the music. You notice Jay's not here, and he got about to my house, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I told the guys that Jenny was coming at 2, because our schedule has been so out of whack lately. We've had so many things going on with the studio and all of our schedules that we've been like, oh, well, let's go at this time tomorrow. Oh, well, I got to be out of there by this time on Thursday. And so we've been going later and later. So I was like, oh, 2 o'clock will be fine. Jay had sent a group text, and I read the first sentence, and I was like, yes, cool, done. Didn't read the second. He was like, I got to be out. We got to start at like right at 11:30 Tuesday and Wednesday, and then I got to be gone by 2. And so I'm like, E comes walking up the driveway. It's like 10:30 in the morning. I'm like, I'm laying on the couch bed. Like, I haven't even started. I'm like, oh, shit. If E's here this early, that means Jay's on his way.
You should have just texted me. I live right down the block.
I know you do, but I thought about it, and I was like, no, that's so unprofessional. I'm not going to do that to her. So I called Jay, and I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. And he's like, what do you want to do? I was like, you can go home. I know you got plenty to do. I'll just do the interview with Jenny and me and E. And he's like, all right. So
I think you just kind of brushed over the couch bed, just because I don't think that, does she know what the couch bed is?
Well,
you want to explain to her the couch bed?
Well, it's just it's where I sleep is my couch bed.
Couch bed.
Yeah, couch in the TV room.
So it seems like you need like a secretary, you need like...
you have no idea.
You need one of those people, I'm repped by WME, so when I call somebody, they say, looping in my office. And next thing you know, there's like 30 people trying to loop in the other 30 people, but they're not the people that are going to get on the phone. So you need one of those people that are going to be like, looping in my office.
I don't think William Morris Endeavor is interested in me, though. That's see the problem? Like if that agency wanted to rep me along with, I don't know, every major huge person on planet Earth, that would be wonderful. But I don't think they'll take my call. William Morris is...
Well, I'm sure there are other agencies out there.
Yeah,
listen, I don't think they were interested in repping me either, but they are. So.
Did you force your way in? Kick the door in?
100%.
Really?
Absolutely, because nobody is gonna ever call anybody while they're on a couch bed or wherever they are, going, "Hey, Mike. Hey, E.
Yeah.
I'm from William Morris Endeavor. I'm interested in representing you." And you actually got what it takes to be repped by WME. You're extremely talented and you're funny.
Thank you.
So I'm just saying, you got to get after those people if that's what you're interested in.
Well, I'm not used to scheduling, and I'm not good with that shit. I'm not organized at all, ever, never have been. It's just not, I don't use that side of my brain. And so I'm trying to get there, and the more that gets put on the plate, the more I'm like, fuck. Oh, yeah, and like 2 guests will show up at the same time. I did it to you yesterday. I was like, I just double booked Thursday.
So you got a phone. Start writing shit down,
I
man.
know. It's so bad. I have notes, and I'm like, they're just like scratched notes, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I wish I would have seen that yesterday when I double booked that, and it's like this person so-and-so time. It's awful. I'm terrible. But, what are you going to do?
Get better.
Get better, right. That's what Jay says. So... Anyway, that's why he's not here today. It's because I can't schedule for shit.
Oh,
but
Jay,
I'm
gonna miss you.
Yeah, he's like, well, make sure. I was like, send me some questions you got for, and so he's getting into EDM lately. So we'll get into DJing and shit. He's got some questions, but
sure.
Producer of the Russian 5. That's why you were here last time.
Yes.
And there's so much more to your world than just that. So we're gonna get into a lot. I've got a shitload of notes, and but how's the Russian 5 doing?
It's doing amazing. Thank you. So we played 3 weeks in the movie theaters, almost 3 full weeks. So for an independent documentary feature, that's almost unheard of.
Yeah.
So at this moment, we're the second highest grossing documentary for 2019 after Apollo 11. We're spreading our wings. We just booked Tampa. We're opening up Arizona. We just played Pittsburgh, Dallas. But the big news is, and I can tell you guys because this just happened today, we just booked our Oscar qualifying run in New York and LA.
Wow.
And that is just, honestly, it's mind-blowing.
So if you don't play in New York and LA, both, or one or the other, I imagine if you get into one, you get into the other.
No, not necessarily.
No.
So you have to, for Oscar qualifying, you have to play New York and LA both, and not just play them. You have to play them in a certain way. You have to have a week-long run, certain amount of shows. It's like a complex matter. So we just booked the IFC, we booked the Lanley Theater, so that's coming in May. Honestly, it's a dream.
Awesome.
It's a dream come true because it potentially puts us a step closer to an Oscar nomination, which would be mind-blowing.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And you'd go, right? You would not miss up the opportunity to go to the Oscars.
Oh, I think if that's the case, yeah, we will
get
be
all
there.
dolled up.
100%.
Just be some bitchy Russian on the red carpet. That'd be. Can you imagine after the time you guys have spent working on that film, all the work? People have no idea the time, effort, and work that went to get this little film to where it is, and it's so good. Can you imagine if the payoff was an Oscar nomination?
That would be the most unbelievable thing in the world.
Yeah.
Honestly,
It would make it all worth it. I mean, the movie alone makes it all worth it.
I mean,
but
listen, Vladdy singing "We're the Champions" and smiling, that's worth it for us.
How realistic is it when you say that this places you in the way to do it? But like, how realistic is it to think that you could have a shot at a nomination?
100% realistic.
Okay.
Okay. I think that anything in life is realistic.
Okay. Well,
Anything. Honestly, Eric, listen.
I agree.
Anything.
I
Anything.
agree.
Think about the fact that I came here with $100 6 suitcases. Dan Milstein, our executive producer, came here with nothing and washed toilets at McDonald's. He's a multi-millionaire, reps all the hockey players. Anything is possible.
Well, no,
is
no.
it possible?
Yeah.
well, here's the thing.
Is it worthy of an Oscar? 100%.
Hell yeah,
I
it is.
think
Okay.
so.
Yeah, for sure it is. The thing is, there's a lot of politics involved.
Yes.
So you need, if I'm not mistaken, for whether it's the Emmys or the Grammys, the Oscars, there's a lot behind the scenes that people don't know that's going on.
Yes.
And so do you have the powers that be to get behind the film and push it the way it needs to be pushed?
We'll see how it plays out. We're gonna put our best foot forward to make sure we're a part of that. I think the potential is that we could be that little indie that comes out up front that people might want to get behind us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the trend is, it's not necessarily all the big boys that are in Hollywood that have to win. So I think it's going to be up to the fans giving us more love and propelling us in the box office. I think it's going to be how the press spins this story.
Right.
I think it's how our New York and LA run is going to go. There's a lot of factors, but I can tell you this much. My team is going to work 5,000% more than we do now to make this possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, speaking of politics in Hollywood, there seems like a certain type of movie they want to push. What are there movies out there that okay, these will probably be in our category? Are there ones out there that you're like, this one's going to do well, just because what Hollywood tends to like?
I mean, I don't know. It's hard to predict what's going to happen. I mean, look at this. Mr. Rogers wasn't even nominated.
Yeah.
That was mind-blowing. I mean, that documentary...
It's great.
It's great. B, it's such a piece of American history. C, it won everything you could have possibly won at film festivals.
Are you talking about the one that aired on HBO?
Yes,
okay,
that
because there were
one.
two of them that came out like the same time.
Yeah, I was blown away by the fact that it wasn't nominated. But listen, I'm sure there's the favorites. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, the doc is coming out. It's out last week. Amazing Grace.
Mm-hmm.
About Aretha Franklin. I don't know what else is coming out. I think that will definitely have its nomination. I don't know. We'll see how this year rounds up.
Yeah.
We hope we end up there. If we don't, that's also okay. But the fact that we're one step closer to potentially being there, which was not a possibility just last night.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And so what does that do? Like, I know this is all what if, but if that were to happen and you get a nomination, what does that alone do to the careers of people involved? I mean, to be able to have that acknowledgement, not Oscar-nominated producer, Jenny Feterovich.
I think it's going to do whatever opportunities you're going to create after that, just like everything else in life.
See, you're just such a go-getter. It's either it's on me to do or nobody.
100%, just like everything else in life. You can take the best thing that happened to you in life and you can frankly fuck it up. You can. It doesn't matter because the mentality of people thinking that somebody will come after them, no. Or you can take that and spin it even more.
Yeah.
You can create more opportunities, open more doors, get more agents. I don't know. I have no idea. It's all about what you want out of life. Who knows if I even want to be a part of that? Because frankly, there's some things behind the scenes I might not like, you know.
I mean, coming to this country with $100 and 6 suitcases and having an Oscar nomination potentially, even the discussion is rather amazing. I mean, honestly,
100%.
it's crazy.
It is crazy, but it's the only, I mean, honestly, like I said it before, it's only possible here.
Yeah.
This country has every opportunity set up for people to take.
Yeah.
So much opportunity. It's left and right. It's everywhere, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and we'll get into some of the immigration stuff.
Yeah.
I've got questions about that for you because that's a real battle going on right now, and I'm pulling my hair out going, guys, it's not that hard. Stop playing the victim card and just fucking do you, man. Go get it.
Right.
We'll get into that stuff later. Is it playing in Russia? Will it play in Russia? I know we discussed that last time. You guys were hoping it would.
So a huge article came out in NHL Russia yesterday. Huge article covering this, which I think will help us better our chances with Russia. There is discussions already happening that we are having with one of the big Russian TV window stations. So we'll see.
What is that? The TV?
It's like a TV station that we might get a TV window. I don't think they'll be theatrical. But I think we're going to hope to have a big event probably, followed by a TV window. So that's in the works right now.
I mean, Trump works for Putin. That's what we've been told. So, I mean, he's got a connection there. We should be able to get
let's
this thing
let's just tweet Trump, and Putin likes hockey. So I mean,
there you go. How has the organization been for you guys? The players, the Wings management. So I know, I saw some ownership at the opening a year ago when we went and saw it. Have those guys been supportive? Has the league been supportive? Are you guys kind of on an island?
We're not on an island, so they've been very supportive. So let's start with the Wings. The Wings have been very supportive from the very beginning, from opening up their archives, the Illich archives, the Joe Louis archives. All of those archives were given to us. Thanks God, because we digitized all of it for them, so it was hours and hours and days and months of work, but yet to have access to that. Obviously, almost everybody in the organization has talked to us, so they've been very supportive from that perspective. They've been supportive with the release of the film. They've just had some management change, so unfortunately we got stuck in that, where we're hoping for a little more support, but I think they were also tied up in the regular season. So now that the season is over, I think they'll support us even more.
Yeah.
They love the film. They know that the fans love the film, so they're completely on board. The NHL, we'd like some love from the NHL, because to be honest with you, we're bringing new fans.
For sure.
For as many people as have seen the film that don't like hockey, don't care about hockey, they're now watching this.
But don't know. It's not that they don't like hockey. They don't know. When I took Beth, she's just not a sports fan.
Right.
She didn't care about it. I'm like, we're going to this premiere. She's like, okay, I'll go. But I figured she'd fall asleep in it. But she loved it.
Right, so we're bringing new fans to the game. The big thing we had with the NHL, and we resolved that. I mean, we have 42 minutes of game footage in our film.
Yep.
So licensing that was a big behemoth.
I still don't know how you did it. Honestly, I don't. And I've asked Josh the same thing. Like, how do you? Because I know
never giving up and having so many conversations with the NHL, because at one point they weren't going to grant us any rights.
Yeah.
Because they felt
and
that the
film
fighting
wouldn't work without that.
It would not work at all.
If you take the winged wheel off it and you take Nike swooshes off it and the NHL logo and CCM,
it's not about taking off of it. We were not able to use the actual footage.
Yeah.
It was not about what logos are on there. It's the actual game footage that they own of those game highlights that we're showing to tell the story. At one point, they saw a problem with the fact that there was all that fighting, because, since the rules have changed.
Sure.
And I went back to them. I said, listen, there's no other way to tell the story.
None.
It's not like I'm trying to say that there's fighting. It's a part of history. That's what it is. You have to grant me the rights for this footage.
And it's the start of your greatest stretch in the history of your sport.
Right.
I mean, for the Red Wings, let's be honest.
Yeah.
That footage you have in the Russian 5, that kicked off the run of all runs that the fans adore to this day and will for another 100 years.
So it was just constant back and forth and asking and pleading and going to everybody we can go to and saying, please, you have to work with us. We got to figure out how we can work with this. I mean, the regular standard price is $12,000 a minute. Do the math. I have 42 minutes of footage in there.
Yeah.
It's completely, it's a lot of money.
And the money was long gone. I mean, you guys were not just
no,
printing money. And I knew they were going to. That was going to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Because when we saw the movie a year ago at the premiere early on, you guys got licensing for festivals.
Yes.
A festival license where you can use this footage for this, but that doesn't help you when you're trying to go to, streaming services or in movie theaters. That doesn't. And the whole time I'm going, this movie will not work if they're trying to do like fake teams and film fake fighting scenes to reenact what happened.
Yeah,
like,
it
fuck
wouldn't
that.
have worked. No, so that's why, it takes time to do all of that.
Yeah.
And the lesson is never give up. You just got to keep going.
Yeah.
No is just not a yes yet. So
No, it's a great attitude, but not to be a stickler on it, but I just know how tough those leagues are. The NHL, the NFL, Major League Baseball. Those leagues just don't let you without really paying the money to use their stuff. They just don't. And so they're very aggressive about that.
Listen, had I not been a businesswoman, an entrepreneur, I don't know if Russian. I don't know having gigantic balls for a woman. I don't know if I've ever gotten to that point. Because if I just had a mentality of a filmmaker, I don't know. It's continuous negotiating techniques that I use, in my everyday business practice that I've used over many, many years that I apply for this film and for this project. This film is a business project for me at this point. Whatever creativity was there before, now it's out. It's a product, just like any other business product out there. And
Consider
I have
it like
to
a
treat
startup.
it. Yeah, I have to treat it as that. It's a business product, and I do everything with that approach. Whether we're marketing, advertising, negotiating deals, it's all that.
Excuse me. Shit blowing all over the place. God damn it. Well, it's got to be very rewarding, Jenny, at the end because I know there are days when it looks like it's all going to work out, and then the next day it all collapses, and you think you're fucked.
Yes.
And it's very, very difficult. It's not easy, those negotiations. And to finally go, handshake, we got a deal, signed, it's got to be very rewarding and like, okay, that
100%.
hurdle, done.
And we've had so many of those peaks and valleys, oh shit moments. It's almost every other day.
Yeah.
I mean, literally. Just like a couple days ago, we had a moment where I was like, I'm going to lose my shit right now.
Really?
This is all
You guys are
going to
done.
shit right now.
You guys are going downhill now. This is the easy part.
No, are you kidding me? No.
Are you enjoying the press?
Yeah, of course I'm enjoying the press. I mean, I'm a little tired of it, to be honest with you.
Same questions.
No, it's not the same question. It's just a lot. And, women in general, and I like the press, but women in general, and I find myself to be there, we don't always want to take all the credit and do a lot of the things and talk about a lot of things because I think we're a lot more reserved as creatures.
Yeah.
So over the years, I had to force myself to be upfront about my achievements. And at times it just feels like I'm doing something wrong when I'm talking about it, but I have to overcome that continuously.
It's very funny you say that because it's like, yeah, Jenny Feterovich, the first time I met you, it was like, oh, she's a producer on the film. That's cool, whatever. And then, you came in and just killed it. You were hilarious. And I just did a little bit of research. And, I didn't have time. I found out like that morning that you were coming with Josh. I told Josh, he was like, hey, man, when can I come back in? And, now the movie's coming out. I said, yeah, sure. And so he's like, oh, yeah, I'm bringing Jenny with me. I'm like, who the fuck's Jenny? He's like, Jenny Feterovich, producer. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And so I started doing some research. And you're very, like, whatever. But as I'm going on, I'm like, holy shit, this bitch has done everything. Like, she's killing it. And William Morris Endeavor is not just to be thrown out there. That's legit. I mean, what is it? Arcadius Productions. You're owner of that production company here in town.
Yeah, I'm a co-founder with my business partner. We own the production company that does reality film television. Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. It really film, TV producer, DJ, mom, humanitarian. What the fuck does humanitarian mean? What is that?
My favorite thing to do, honestly, is to travel around the world and build homes for Habitat for Humanity.
Really?
I have done 5 builds all over the world. Yep.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah.
And honestly, I love that more than anything else.
Where did you go build those houses? Like,
I've been to Cambodia, I've been to Guatemala, I've been to Trinidad and Tobago. I've been to quite a few places.
Really?
So you
Have you been to Detroit?
I've been to Detroit.
They need
Yes.
Yeah,
some
we can use a
buildings
few
too.
houses
You
here.
know,
Yeah, we
and
need some
it's,
houses too.
Yeah, and it's easier to get people to volunteer locally versus globally. And I love doing that. A good friend of mine, Maria Petrenko, got me. She goes, "We always do what you like to do. Let's do what I like to do." Once I said, "Okay, what is it?" She goes, "We're gonna go to another country, build a house." It's like, fuck. I'm like, fuck that. I don't know how to build anything. She goes, "No, trust me, it's gonna change your life." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh fuck, this sounds awful," but I'll do it. I was in. You know, it's your friend.
When you do that, like, how long are you there? Do you stay till the whole house builds, or do some people come in at different parts, or what? Do you...
So it depends. So like my first experience, we went to Trinidad and Tobago, and we were living in some like Jesus place where over my bed it was like Jesus is watching over you, and there was like a curfew. I'm like, oh shit, like I'm Jewish. Why is Jesus
Where
here?
am I?
Yeah, like what did I get myself into? Like really,
Yeah.
Maria? There's like a 8 p.m. curfew because there's a
8 p.m.
war.
curfew. Oh my god.
So
Because there's a war.
yeah, so there's like a war. So here's the best thing that happens to you during that process. You don't get to choose where you sleep. You don't get to choose what you eat. And you give up so much of your everyday comfort that we're not used to giving up. And that just makes you think of things in the world in such a different way. And then you get up in the morning and you start to physically labor for so many hours a day with other people. And then you see a family that's about to move into that house. And you start to cry to understand that you just gave these people the most basic need in the world, which is shelter.
Yeah.
And it completely changes your life. And it changes your it changes you.
Yeah.
Because you just gave up so much and you understand the different part of life, you understand the different part of you, because we're so used to just walking out, getting in our cozy warm cars, sleeping in our
Yeah.
big cozy beds,
Couch bed, but yeah.
going into whatever store we're going into, grabbing anything we want.
Yep.
So now put yourself in the
We
position.
bitch about the fucking line is too long at the checkout.
Exactly.
God damn it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of it. So
Yeah.
put yourself in a position where none of that is accessible to you. All day long, you're like building a house out of bamboo. You've never done this before.
See, don't you? I would think, I'm going to be in the way. I don't know what I'm doing.
No, so they teach you. I didn't know what I was doing. So
Yeah.
to answer your question, it depends what kind of build you go to. So you
Okay.
can go for 5 days, you can go for 2 weeks, you can go for a month. So you typically build with the family because those people will pay back, so other people can do that. The only exception is when I build for people who are affected by AIDS. But typically we build with a family and we build with people who build in those areas because
they're
they
helping
know.
too.
So they're the ones who are telling us what to do. Okay, but
Gotcha.
literally, I've never mixed cement. I never laid brick. I
Yeah.
never made bamboo floor. But you learn all of it, and
But it's hot
honest.
in some of those places. You're in some bed
Sure.
that doesn't feel like your bed.
Exactly.
It's like, oh man,
Sure.
this stinks. It's
And
so
I
hot.
guarantee
I'm sweating.
I guarantee you, you will come back a completely different human being.
Well, I know that's true because Eric, let me finish.
I didn't have anything.
Let me finish.
Okay.
I've known him for 9 years. He was one of the most selfish people I knew, and in that he wasn't gonna. If he was coming over and he was hungry, he would stop and get food for himself and come over. And there's 4 other people here going,
my God.
Jesus, dude, you could have called and asked if we wanted food. I said, shut up and let me finish.
Okay.
And so just little things like he wasn't used to being around people, and he's just kind of awkward socially, and it presents itself in many ways. When we started doing the charity for the shelter, and he's in the tent, and he saw that take off, and I don't know what we raised that first thing, $31,000 or something.
It's a lot of money.
It's a shitload of money. I have people that I know, really rich people that do charity drives, and they was like, you raised how much fucking money in a week for this? Like, dude, I've called high rollers trying to get 10 grand total is a bitch. You idiots in your fucking backyard raised $31,000 for homeless. Holy shit. And nobody covered it. Nobody cared, but it changed E's life. He saw how many people were affected by that, how many people that helped. When they're telling us the numbers, you gave us more money than FEMA.
Right.
With you,
That's
this
amazing.
this is 1,000 families will be fed for a month or something based on this one event that you guys did. And he's already planning like bigger things in the future. Like, it changed his whole outlook. So I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
I need to do that sometime.
You should go. You guys should come on a
I'm gonna-
Habitat trip with me.
No, dude,
I'd do it.
I'd have to do a 5-day one, but I would only
No,
because
it's
of my
good to
schedule.
start. It's
but
good to start with a 5. I mean, your
Well, just with-
schedule.
with the schedule
I
kind
can
of-
fit it into my schedule. Okay.
You talk to this guy. I'll go away for a
I'll give you
week.
E for a month.
go
Yeah,
away
take
for-
him. No, I feel it with the dogs. You know, when you get a one-eyed dog that's 4 years old, nobody wants that dog.
Right.
And when you take it in and it can't walk a flight of stairs and it's scared of everything, and after a few days you see that thing come alive and be just the sweetest creature ever. And I'll take pictures and make videos and post them, and next thing you know, someone adopts it. One of our listeners does, and it's got these animals have great homes, and we get updates. It's very rewarding.
Listen, bottom line, when you stop being selfish, which is a really difficult thing for some reason for a lot of people to do, because everybody is fucking self-centered. We all love ourselves. Everything is great about us.
Yep.
And you start to give, you will start to receive in so many different ways. And this is what I love doing with our film. We've already done so many charity events, not just for Vladdy. We've done things for other foundations. And I'm ecstatic. I didn't tell you this, but I'm going to do an event in Detroit.
Really?
Because I figured we actually haven't played within the city limits. And then I went and I found an inner city hockey organization.
No
2
kidding.
days ago. It's called Detroit Ice Stars. And there's 45 kids there that are dying to play hockey. I'm going to meet them all on Saturday.
Let me guess. They don't have the money for equipment.
Of course, they have money for nothing. They're in the inner city. When I
it's
called
an expensive
them,
sport to play.
when I called them, they were just thrilled that anybody at all in this world wants to help them.
Yep.
So my next screening will be in Detroit. It'll be May 5th. It's going to benefit this inner city youth group. Once I talk to them and meet them on Saturday, we'll announce the news.
Yeah.
But now I found a way where with this film or whatever else I'm doing, I have to figure out how I could give back in multiple ways. Because
Well,
it's
let me
just
know
the
what
way-
you're doing, and we'll
Yeah.
get behind it. We'll push it for you. And if you,
I'd
you know,
love
if you're
that.
taking donations, if you've got a, you know, whatever, if it's you're charging more for tickets to go to the screening and the money goes to them.
Yep.
Because hockey equipment's expensive as hell, and I can only imagine, you know, if that was what was stopping you from trying something that you really wanted to do.
And that's exactly what they
you know?
want to do. And I'm going to meet them. They have a practice skate with the coaches. So I'm going to meet all of the kids, all of their parents. I want to know what they're living and breathing. What do they
You can
need?
change their life.
100%.
You know,
That's
your
my
connections.
intent.
You take someone like Darren McCarty out there
Exactly.
and teach them a few things. Like, oh,
Yeah, so that's now this has become sort of my new goal in the last 48 hours to give these kids the most I possibly can.
it's amazing. That's
you.
so cool, man.
Thank
so
you.
cool. TheRussian5.com. Showings are still going on, I'm
Yes.
assuming. So is that the best place to go?
Yep.
To find where it is? And
Yep.
Lastly, on that movie, and we'll move on to the other stuff that I have because we're going to go 4 hours if we don't get moving on. How's it doing in some of those cities? Are you getting any reports back? Because I know it aired in Denver, I think, in the Colorado area first when
Yes.
it did here. Are you getting any word back, like how it's doing in some of these cities?
Sure, people are loving it. Just go to our Twitter, go to our Facebook or Instagram. Thank God for social media. We can get instant
Yeah.
feedback. People are loving it. If they're not Detroit Red Wings fans, they don't know nothing about it. We're playing in Vegas right now. People are taking selfies. They're saying, oh my God, I'm a Vegas Knights fan, but I'm loving this.
Yeah.
People in Arizona going crazy. People in Tampa are waiting for it now. As
Yeah.
we're spreading, and then the best is the people that don't have any showings scheduled, they're just every day they're just harassing us and they're waiting
Yeah.
for this to come.
That's
so
so
the
cool.
movie is doing really well everywhere.
Well, I knew it would do well in Arizona. My brother lives in Arizona, and he's one of these guys that records every fucking game every night and watches every minute of it. He embarrasses me. Like, if he's around, I've had him around, like, when the Wings won a cup, they had a big party, and a bunch of players are there, and we're sitting there having dinner. He's sitting next to Draper, and my brother's going, I just don't think, Manny Legacy's got the heart to be on this. Like, he's making, and I'm just like, oh, fuck, gee.
Is he going to see the movie? It opens this Friday.
Yes, I sent him a screener copy so he could see it. He fucking loved it. He absolutely loved it. Don't be mad at me.
He better tell his friends then.
Oh yeah, but he said, dude, you don't understand. He said, when the Wings come to town, it's like the only series that will sell out 100% of the time, and they like triple the price of tickets. It's the craziest thing. Every ticket for Coyotes game is nothing unless the Wings come to town, and then it's outrageously priced.
Well, it's just a lot of transplanted Detroiters, so it's
yeah,
tons,
that's what
yeah,
it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, they're everywhere. They are. So there's so many other things. The Cream documentary, boy howdy. Do you want to talk about that? Do you not? Because that's going to be.
We can briefly touch on it because we have a lot. I mean,
That's
opens.
this weekend, right?
It opens this Wednesday. It premieres for the Free Film Festival, which is where we premiered last year with the Russian 5.
Right.
It premiered at South by Southwest. I am an executive producer on this.
Is that the boss of the producer?
That's not the boss of the producer. That's the person who financially supports the project.
Oh, okay. So you help them.
So we invested some money into the project at the later stages of the project. So I was not in the trenches with blood, sweat, and tears on this.
Okay.
However, I'm extremely proud of this film. I saw it at South by. I loved it. I was not familiar with the story of the Cream magazine. So as you know, I grew up in the Soviet Union.
Right.
Music was outlawed. Like, we only had Russian music and really horrible, cheesy Eastern European.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So like all these things were completely outlawed. So I was not familiar with the story. I've heard a little bit here and there. But people will really enjoy this. They will really enjoy this.
What is Cream is thought of as like the only rock and
real
rock and
true
roll
rock and roll magazine.
Yeah, Rolling Stone wants that tag, but
Yeah.
Cream, it's just a little bit before my time, even though I'm from the area. I wasn't, I was more into like, Metal Edge and, some of those Circus magazine, those,
Right.
cheesy metal mags than I was even Cream. Just a bit before my time. I was more of an
But you
80s,
will enjoy
90s
it.
kid.
Getting to know you
Yeah.
with your sense of humor and what they brought to the table, with the way they operated, you will enjoy. There's a lot of archival footage. There's a really interesting and deep family history there because it's a Jewish family that owned the magazine.
Yeah.
And ran the magazine. So the story there is really incredible.
Well, the names I was looking at, some of them familiar. Wayne Kramer, who did all the music, I believe, for Russian
So
5.
Wayne scored this, yes. But Barry Kramer and Connie Kramer were the couple. They're not related. Were the couple that owned the magazine back in the 70s. And J.J. Kramer, who is the producer of the film, is their son.
Really?
And he decided to bring the story to life with Scott, who is the director.
And okay, Scott Crawford.
Yes.
Now Barry died young, right?
Yes.
Or didn't he pass away? Isn't
Yes.
that the kind of the tragic ending? He was
Yes.
planning to give the magazine to JJ.
Yes.
I don't know how much I'm supposed to say. I haven't seen it yet, but I've just read
Well,
some
it's
things.
it's out there. So yeah, definitely. He died young, and you will see that in the film. It covers that. And from my understanding, the parts of magazine were sold off, and JJ set out on this quest to acquire it back because he's going to revive the magazine.
Really?
Yeah,
Does he
that's
have it
the-
back? Does he?
I believe so. Yeah.
That's awesome. So then, do you know Scott Crawford, the director, writer, producer of
I
this?
met Scott at South by. That was my first time meeting him.
Okay.
So.
It's interesting. The Russian 5, I've seen the movie. I loved it. That didn't get into South by Southwest. And
We were not ready. We didn't have the film ready.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, you got snubbed by South
No,
by.
we
where
did
this
not
one...
get snubbed by South by. I wasn't ready.
Because I know I was talking to Josh a little bit off the air one day about it, about this film. If you get into Tribeca, then this one doesn't want you, and if you get into South by. But I know there's a lot of politics and...
Sure, South by was not one of the people we got snubbed by. We got snubbed by other people.
Yeah. Well, they'll be regretting that.
I have no beef with South by.
So what made the magazine taboo? It sounds like it was one of those. It was almost like Playboy. You didn't want your parents to see a Cream magazine or whatever. I saw some people saying, and I don't know what they mean because it was. I remember.
So you gotta watch the movie. I mean, it's the
Okay.
content. It's the
Yeah.
way they ran the place. I mean, it was just a bunch of misfits doing really awesome things and fun things that kids wanted to be a part of.
It sounds kind of like National Lampoon. You know what I mean? The way those guys ran that, the Harvard, you know what I
kinda.
mean? Like just some ragtag guys throwing shit together that they thought was funny. And
Yeah, when you watch the movie, exactly. I think the reason what made them successful is because it was a labor of love, and they did what they loved
Yeah.
to the core. I don't know if business. I think the guy Barry was somewhat trying to run it as a business, but I'm not sure that was ever operated as like legit. Like this is the business decision.
Well,
It was all ran from their heart.
Yeah, but they went from underground to fucking national, huge. I mean, Cream magazine was a big magazine.
Because he was a hustler. That's
Yeah.
what you do in life. You hustle.
Yeah.
And Detroit hustle is like no other hustle in the
Hell
world.
yeah. Damn
Yeah.
straight. And you got something good and something that people cared about when you see the names involved: Pearl Jam, REM, Kiss, Wayne Kramer, Jeff Daniels, Peter Wolf, Alice Cooper, Jenny Feterovich, for Christ's sakes. You know what I mean?
Oh, God.
So yeah, no, it's cool. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
You
I
should
don't
go
know.
and talk about it and
Yeah,
see how you like it.
I guarantee I'll like it. I love rock and roll. I love good storytelling. So if the story
got both.
yeah, then I'll definitely love it. I will. And the other thing, I started to watch your show, Startup.
Okay.
You know, I've got Amazon Prime. And so they'll give me like season 4 they'll let me watch right now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I got to pay you a bunch of money and shit.
No,
I
you
don't
can
wanna
go
do
on pbs.org and watch it for free.
Oh, I can?
Yeah, pbs.org, all up-to-date seasons.
So I'm kind of behind the times, I think, because season 4, you're at like season 8 now?
We're starting season 7 at the end of this month. We're starting the production in season 7.
So I started watching it, and it's a great show.
Thank you.
I love the style. It's like, for people that don't, Startup was... Tell us how this started. You told us before, but we can, for new listeners, because you were just interviewing entrepreneurs to like learn.
Yeah, so Gary Brado, my business partner, he's also the host of the show.
Mm-hmm.
He became the host of the show because we didn't trust anybody else. So we're like, hey, you're the host.
I love it too because he's just like a T-shirt, got a sleeve of tats
he's
on
like
one arm.
he's like
he's
a regular.
Not super skinny and fucking, you know, like, oh, that's the only guy that can be on TV. It's like, I like that guy.
Right,
It works.
he's like a regular guy's
regular
guy.
dude,
He lives
yeah.
in Ferndale. He's got a family. And he's got the natural curiosity. That's why it works. So me and Gary were both entrepreneurs. We've known each other actually through Techno before this. And one day he came to me. He was laid off from his job. He worked for Viacom. He worked for radio. He lost his job. He had a wife and a kid to take care of. And he was like, what am I going to do? You know, he started a production company. He came to me and he said, listen, I have this idea for a show. Nobody's doing it. Let's go around and ask entrepreneurs how they started their business, and we can learn a bunch of shit from them. Like, how did they do it?
We'll steal the secret sauce.
Yeah, we'll just know how they did it. I'm like, oh, that sounds really good. I'm in. This is interesting. Let's do it.
That's awesome.
So we like, okay, well, how do we do this? We've never started a TV show. We're like, we know one guy. They have a show in Michigan TV called Under the Radar. Let's call those guys.
So it started with that idea, but were you guys going to film the very first one you went to, or was it just like, let's just go get an interview with an entrepreneur and see what we can learn? Or did you actually like let's film this thing?
Yeah, so we're like, fuck it, let's film this thing. You know, we're like, we're going to figure this out, how to do this. So we met these guys. They're like, yeah, film the pilot. We filmed the pilot, brought it back. We were only going to do a Detroit show. We brought it to Detroit PBS. They're like, oh, this is really good and nobody's doing this. You guys should go to another city and make it bigger. We're like, okay, fuck it. Got in the car, drove to Chicago, filmed some people there, drove to Ohio, still on our own dime developing, brought it back.
That's on your dime.
Oh, yeah, 100%. There's no money. So we keep doing it. We go back. They're like, oh, this is really good. We want to take you guys nationally. So me and Gary are like, oh, fuck, we made it. This is really amazing. We're going to have a national TV show. And then they looked at us and they go, well, but it's PBS, so go get your own money. We're like, what do you mean go get your own money? Like, what's the point of this whole TV thing? 'Cause
we made it. Hello, we're
we
national
made it.
now.
Right.
You
so
go get us money.
Yeah, go get us money. So we had no idea because with PBS, the structure is different. It's public television. You have to have content of high integrity, but you have to raise funds. Unless you Ken Burns, then you just get the money.
Right. You're getting there.
So... yeah, hopefully. So me and Gary like, oh, fuck it, we'll figure out. Other people have gotten the money.
You've got a slot nationally. You have to figure it out.
We got to figure it out. So
now.
we hired people. Nobody could get us the money. Then I'm like, okay, other people have gotten this money. How do we get this money? We need a lot of money. We don't need a little money. We need
you need hundreds of thousands of dollars at least.
At that point, neither myself or him have ever asked anybody for $20,000. This is a very important point here.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck it, let's figure this out. So we sit down at LinkedIn. We made a list of every company we thought could give us money. And then we're like, who do we know? Anybody? How do we do this? So I had a friend that worked at American Express. So I write my friend. I haven't talked to him in 10 years. I kid you not. I write him and I say, hey, you work at American Express. Maybe you can help me. I need the money for the show. So the guy answers me. He goes, I know we haven't talked in 10 years, but I met my wife at one of your parties, and I love you. Like, this is the greatest thing ever. I'm going to help you figure out how to get the money from American Express.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
It's if you keep just, I love it.
So everything comes full circle. So he tried, didn't work. Finally, he got me in touch, and like years were going by. He got me in touch with this woman who just gotten a job there. Next thing you know, I was in New York. I'm sitting in the Freedom Tower. It's 41st floor. I'm asking, attention, for $400,000. I'm sitting there shitting my pants going, what the fuck am I doing at American Express asking for $400,000? Like, they're crazy. Why would they give this to me? This thing doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
So she believed in us. She was just there. She loved the idea. They were just about to launch Small Business Saturday. She's like, you are so passionate about this. And the pieces that you've made, We love it. We'll get behind you.
Yeah.
So our first ever sponsor that we landed was American Express.
Wow. And that legitimizes you.
That legitimizes
you can talk to Cadillac if American Express is on
Yeah,
board.
so we could talk to GM, we could talk to other people. I mean, believe me, 7 years later, it's gotten a little easier.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, for 7 years, we've been able to successfully finance and sustain a national PBS television show. We've had State Farm, we had the UPS store. We're now sponsored by Land Rover Jaguar. We've had Chrysler. I mean, you name it. We've had some support of some of the biggest companies in the world.
These are blue chip all day, every day. These are Fortune 500 companies.
These are the people every single year we talk to CMOs, CEOs of companies nonstop. And the way we do that is because we never give up. Because like we're hustlers. We will grind it until we get it done.
So that's got to be different than a normal network show.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, how does that work then? So if you've earned the money, say you get $1 million, right, to finance, and you've got to do, I don't know, 10 episodes in a season, just for argument's sake. How does that? So you've got $1 million in checks that you've got in a bank, and then you spend it however you want.
Yes.
Can you go? We're taking $800,000 salary, and for $200,000, we're going to film this thing ourselves.
If you can produce, market, and deliver the product for $200,000, that's acceptable. That will sustain you on the air. Sure, 100%.
Really? So nobody can say shit to you then.
No, we control our own destiny. That's why we love it.
As long as you stay in your lane and
Yes.
know that this has got to be, upscale content enough for a PBS. You can't have a guy shitting in the sidewalk outside.
Well, yeah, everything is scrutinized and approved. There's FCA guidelines to everything we do. 100%.
Yeah.
But
as far as the money that comes in, that's yours to control and deal with.
Right, but you have to
Holy
raise the
shit.
money. I mean, to raise that much money, obviously, it takes a lot. But then you control the money, but you also control your destiny.
Yeah.
With network, and we work with network. We have a show on network. We're in development with few shows on the network. Network gives you the money to produce, but network controls the content, and network controls your destiny. If tomorrow they decide to cancel you, you're done, you're gone, and your show is over. The other thing we could never do on network, we cannot inspire and educate. When we say those two words in the network pitch,
Yeah, they don't care.
they laugh at us. They
Yeah.
said, you want to do what? You want to
Isn't that
inspire
sad?
and educate? No. You want to entertain? Don't walk into this room until you are fucking entertaining me.
Yeah.
You're bringing me something fun or you're bringing me something dramatic. I don't want to inspire anybody. I don't give a shit about that.
Yeah.
That's what
I mean,
PBS
Lifetime, Hallmark, maybe? You could sell that shit too?
No. Have you
Not
seen Lifetime? It's all about crazy bitches killing people. That's oh my God, that network
Really?
freaks me out.
I don't watch it. It's a chick network.
Okay, listen. Do you know how scary it is? Because all that shit looks real.
Really?
I mean,
But
it's worse than a horror film.
Is it movies or is it documentaries?
It's movies about crazy people, but they like legitimately exist
They've
in this
changed
world.
their model then. They
No,
didn't used
and
to
like,
do that.
and then other crazy bitches learn from watching these movies, and I think they get even crazier.
Yeah. See, Fred Rogers tried to change this thing 50 years ago. He was like, what are we teaching kids? He's like, this is on television. You got fucking puppets beating the shit out of each other. And it's like, kids are watching this. And that's when he launched, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Right.
To change that whole, and we're like, yeah, fuck Fred. And let's go back to just, beating each other up and death and blowing shit up. But yeah,
Listen,
so if you walked into a network meeting with anyone, Fuse, NBC, ABC, and went, yeah, this is an inspirational story
No.
that's blowing
No.
it's going to blow your mind.
No.
Jenny, hear me out. It's
No.
inspirational.
No. Bye. Bye. You're
Get
not
out of my
even
office.
walking into any network pitch with a story that's inspirational. I mean, listen, and we love PBS for so many reasons. It's not about the money because at the end of the day, you got to employ a lot of people to produce a season of a television network show. For us, it's about the fact that we can actually inspire people. The amount of emails that come into our mailbox saying, on a Sunday, I was sitting on my couch and I just watched my show. And now I see a guy who looks just like me that's doing it. And that's how he did it. And I just learned from him. And I'm about to take that leap, quit my job and open a business.
Yeah.
And those stories never stop. For
Yeah.
the 6 seasons we've been on the air, we've inspired so many people to open businesses and, more importantly, follow their dreams to happiness. Because horrible jobs in cubicles are not anybody's dream. I'm sorry. Nobody grew up, nobody was born going, when I grow up, I want to sit in a fucking cubicle.
Yeah.
Nobody has
Yeah.
ever said that.
It's so funny. Ian and I have talked about this 1,000 times because it's like, I didn't know where I would end up. He didn't know where he'd end up. I didn't care. I knew I would rather sleep in a fucking gutter homeless than work in a cubicle. There was no way.
People don't belong in cubicles.
No, and we're seeing that the younger generation, I'll give them this. If they don't like where they're at, they're fucking gone.
Yes.
They're not going to do 30 years. You have to take that. You can.
No, that's okay.
That's fucking Dan Milstamp. Dude, I'll take that call if you want. We can take a quick break. Do you need to take it seriously? We'll take a break.
You want to take a break?
Answer it. Yeah. When Dan Milstein, yeah.
Hello?
Let's go to break really quick. We'll come back with more from Jenny Feterovich.
The Detroit Cast continues after this short break. Hello, bitches. Here are Mike and Jay.
All right, welcome back to the show. And sorry about that. Kind of cut things off really quick. Saw Dan Milstein on your caller ID. I was like, yeah, take the call.
He would be okay, but
Yeah, well, I was just like, no, you can take the call. We can take a break. We can do whatever we want.
Right,
Right.
exactly.
Dude, we're doing our own thing. We're blazing our own trail. So
I love it.
yeah. Anyways, we got to get some of these commercials in. You want to do one for me?
Sure, I would
Go
love
ahead.
that. All right.
Can read
I've
it.
never done a commercial before. Let's do this.
There you go.
Does your money work as hard as you do? You will spend upwards of 45 years working to support your lifestyle, provide for your family, and set aside money for retirement. Do you know if you'll be able to retire on your terms?
How could you?
know? If you don't have a plan, let Mark Leibovitz at LPL Financial help to make sure your money is working as hard as you are. Call Mark today, 248-626-2000. Note, disclosures.
No, you don't have to read that part. That's the disclosure note of what we have to do and not do.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead and read it. It's probably interesting. What does it say we can't do? What's
Disclosures must be read at the same place as the rest of the spot.
the same pace,
Oh, same page. Shit.
right?
Fucked it up.
No, you didn't
Security-
fuck it up. You're not even supposed to read this.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL registered investment member of CCISP.
No, that part you're
That
supposed to read.
actually-
That's the
that
part, you know,
actually does absolutely have to be read.
that part has to be read legally, but the disclaimer part there says you can't speed it up like 200 times.
Ah, okay,
You know,
I get it.
remember
I'm
FINRA
sorry.
SIPC.
I'm sorry. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Securities and advisory services offered. Sorry, I'm new at this. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA
FINRA. FINRA SIPC.
slash SIPC. Oh God, this is so hard.
Isn't that great?
Good enough.
I know we
Did I
learned
do
this
good?
too. Yeah, you did fantastic. You've got a career in that. I'm going to use you for some voice work going
I'm
forward.
gonna call Mark because I know nothing about my retirement.
Mark is so good.
I'm
We
concerned,
grew up with Mark. He's
Okay.
awesome. He is. And Jewish.
Can you trust him?
Yeah.
Mike has his money with him, don't you?
Yeah, I do. So
I
does
would if I
Jay.
had money.
Yep. I don't have a lot of money with him, but whatever I had, I have with, him. If you've suffered a traumatic accident or injury, don't call the billboard or TV attorneys. Your first call should be to Ogden Legal Triage. Ogden Legal Triage will find you the right personal injury attorney for your case at no cost to you. They will negotiate the best price and save you time, money, and hassle. Who better to help you find a lawyer than a lawyer? Ogden Legal Triage. For more information, go to firstcalldetroit.com. And we got one more. I'll do that one later. Anyways, I don't remember exactly where we were. We were talking about startup. We left off before
Yes,
we were
I
so
don't remember.
rudely interrupted by Dan Milstein.
Yeah, Dan. Come on.
And I was watching some of the episodes, and it was cool. You know, it's such a cool concept, and we were getting into how you finance it and all that kind of stuff because PBS is just different. The whole thing
Yeah,
is.
it's a completely different. It's public and it's under strict rules about what you can and cannot do.
Yeah.
But as I said, beautiful thing is we can inspire and educate, which is what we set out to do, and we've successfully been doing for the last 7 years.
And I can tell how big it's gotten. In the brief little bit I've watched, it's like you guys are in Napa Valley in Northern California. You're in Los Angeles. You're in Detroit. You guys are all over the country. That is expensive work to do, to be filming on location all over. And I mean, it's got to be so much fun to be like, shit, we're going to a winery in Napa Valley this week.
Exactly. I mean, it's amazing. It's one
Yeah.
of the best projects I've ever done in my life. It's fun. We've covered pretty much most of the country. There's very few places we haven't been. This year, we're going to Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado, and Utah. But
Yeah.
pretty much else we've been there. And I mean, think about it. We've talked to anybody from like somebody who owns a coffee shop all the way to a tech company and everything in between. And we get to learn what inspires these people, how they got the money,
Yeah.
how they run their business.
Are you seeking out like startup entrepreneurs that came from? Or do you go to Elon Musk or
No,
some
we
major?
don't go to. No, we used to have experts on our show. We just got rid of them this year. So Damon's been an expert from Shark Tank.
Shark
Damon
Tank,
John.
yeah.
Kevin's been on the show. Julie Smolansky, that's got a lifestyle brand that she does. all kinds of people have been experts, but we decided to go away with it because actually our show has changed, just like everything else in life changes. And when you watch from season 4 to season 6, you'll see the big differences. We now only have one entrepreneur versus two. We actually started with
episode, you
3.
mean?
We have one per episode.
Oh, okay.
And we dive in deeper to who that person is, what their why is, and some more global sort of issues that don't necessarily just very business forward.
Yeah, that's cool because I guarantee every one of them has a story like we all do that took a chance on going away from a paycheck, a salary, insurance at a company when you're offered a contract for multiple years at a radio station, and you go, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna build this shit in my basement, and you don't get paid for 2 years.
Right.
Like that's terrifying. It's terrifying. And I know every person you have on there, they all have that story of when they decided.
In some form or another, yeah.
Right, their version of that.
Their version of that, or their idea of that. But we have a lot of second career folks that decided to do this later in life. We have a lot of millennials last season, and we can talk about interesting issues. I mean, there's 2 millennials in Tulsa, Oklahoma that decided not to go to college and open a farm. Because they're sick of eating garbage food, so there's this overarching ideas that we're touching on,
I and some fun ones too, like that. I like the girl that was doing the dating app Siren, where it's like, and I loved her quote about, I would go on a dating site and I felt like I was shopping for humans, and it's like, yeah, you're just swiping, like, is this one hot enough to go further with? And she didn't feel safe as a female, this is a really educated woman, with her, She's got it all, and it was like and so she kind of developed a site geared for women. I mean, it's anybody can go on there, but it's more. I don't know. I don't know if I'm explaining that right. Susie Lee.
Yeah, she developed a dating app that's more geared towards women. That you don't go by pictures, you go by conversation, you go by topics. You get to know people, which people don't really do anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrifying when I talk to my friends about the world of dating nowadays. I mean, it's just. It's horrible.
Well, I like the idea of that site would send a question out a day, and it would be like 3 things that if you could.
You have in your kitchen,
You'd
let's
have in your kitchen.
Or what's your favorite, they could talk about topics where you get to know humans for who they are.
And so then you see those questions, and through each day, a new question, new answers, and it kind of builds this portfolio of a person. And so when you're scrolling through, looking at people, it's like, that's hilarious. I like this girl.
Right.
Her answers match with mine, and then you can send a message.
Yes.
And kind of unlock each other, see what each other looks like. I still think looks are important. There's a lot of shallowness in the world, especially with dudes. So, but it's working. It's unique. It's interesting.
But looks will always fade, right?
Of course.
What is everybody going to look like eventually? It's not about that. It's finding a true partner in life.
Yeah. I used to tell, a girl, if a girl's like, oh man, I'm getting fat. I'm getting this. It's like, dude, if I fall in love with you, I fall in love with you. Not like, I don't give a shit what happens 50 years from now or 30 years. Who cares? It's irrelevant. But, anyway. So the other one I really liked was Room Escape.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you were on location for that one. I'm like, yeah, that's Jenny in there. You want to describe what Room Escape is? What are they? I can't remember where they were from. They were not.
They were from L.A.
They were in LA, yes, but they weren't from LA. They were like
they're Eastern European. They're Croatian and Macedonian, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting concept, right? It's another form of entertainment. I think people are looking to be entertained constantly, and they lock you up in a room, and you have to solve clues in order to get out, and you do it with friends, you do it as a team. And I'm always skeptical at things like this. I'm like, really? Do I have to do this? I mean, I know I look like I'm having fun on TV, but actually I was having fun on TV at that time.
You guys looked like you were having fun.
We were having fun.
Gary's smart.
Gary?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Your
smart.
partner, Gary.
Yeah, he's smart.
Yeah, I could tell.
But I think I figured that one out.
Did you?
No,
See,
I don't know.
you guys did creative editing. You guys, because it made it look like, I think they so there's like 8 different rooms. Like you can do a jail break out of prison.
Yeah.
You can rob a bank. You can rob a jewelry store.
This was like a scientist one, yeah.
It was a lab where you guys had an hour to, there was
break
a zombie
out of this lab,
apocalypse, and you had to come up with a cure. and if you successfully did it within an hour, you win. Whatever.
No, Gary's smart. I like to give him a lot of shit, but he
Well,
did figure it out.
It
But
looked like you guys figured it all out, and then at the end, you were like, you asked the lady that was running the thing, the manager, like, so how much help did you give us? She's like, quite a bit. And I was like, you guys didn't show that. I didn't see any help being given.
But what was fun about them, they're a couple that she went somewhere. I think she went to Japan, and that's where she saw this idea a long time ago. And she came back and she told her husband, I really want to do this. And this is where this comes into play, right? Her husband was like,
math genius.
I want to support you. I'm going to
Yeah.
support you. He wasn't like, oh, like, this is the stupidest idea I've ever heard. He's like, how can I support you in this? This sounds really cool. Sure, let's do this. Let's invest this money. And it's a lot of money. Because if you see their rooms are elaborately built out.
Oh, yeah.
They're
What was
beautiful.
it, like her brother or something was like a set
Yes.
designer?
He's a set designer. I mean, and it was so much fun. We just got lost in there for an hour.
Yeah.
It was like one of the funnest things we did on that trip.
It showed you what it takes to get in there, too. It's like she came out to L.A. first.
Yes.
And he stayed home. He's like a math guy and numbers guy, and so he's running the numbers.
Yeah.
Like, how do we make profit off this? How many people do we need to come play the game in order to do it? And he ends up coming out there. They buy a place for that before they even look for a place to stay themselves.
Right.
And they end up, it's like those sacrifices, like, well, we'll move in with a friend. Well, I think they moved in with her sister or something.
Yeah.
To stay, and it was like,
It's taking that leap, but taking it together, too, when you look at couples, because it doesn't always go like that.
right.
People always, oh, that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard. I'll call you back, Dan.
Doesn't he know you're busy? No, it is, and it's there's so many people, and I go through this with Jay. I get the feeling sometimes like he wants, a guarantee, like billing a year down the road, and and it's like there is no guarantee.
But it's important to have projections, and that's
Yeah,
where we
sure.
see that's where we see people succeed, especially in businesses like this. Like I remember filming first season, and there was a zombie store in Pittsburgh. Okay, like who the fuck opens a zombie store? Like these guys were sitting around drinking beer one night, literally, and they're like, "It'd be really cool if we opened a zombie store."
What does that mean? They sell
They sell
T-shirts with zombies on it?
everything with zombies. Everything with zombies. It's all about zombies. But what a crazy idea. Two dudes, it's two dudes that did this,
Right.
first of all.
Of course.
They were drinking beer. They're like, oh, let's do this. And they got in there, and the store is successful because at the end of the day, they sit down. They're like, okay, how many T-shirts a day do we have to sell to sustain this? Same thing. How many people a day? And when you start to break it down and you have a plan, and it might seem less overwhelming. You're like, oh, I only have to sell 10 T-shirts a day. Okay, how do I get this 10 people? How do I get them?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's not like, how do I make this thousands of dollars, right? Because
I've been looking at things all wrong. I've been looking at how do I make thousands of dollars?
Well, it's an overwhelming thing to do, right?
Yes.
I mean, everything needs to be stepped back, and everything can be reverse engineered, and it can be broken down to the smallest common denominator, because that's easier to swallow, and that's easier to accomplish. Because these big, lofty goals sometimes seem very big, right? It's like, okay, if I sat there and go, how does Jenny get into the biggest chain in America? Oh my God, Jenny's freaking out. No, Jenny's going to Google who runs this chain, and she's going to email them, and she's going to talk to one human being, and then she's going to step it up from there, right?
Yeah.
So you just got to simplify those type of things.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what do you think after all the shows you've done and life experience and interviewing entrepreneurs and stuff, what do you think it takes to make? Is it just drive and go get it? What is the key to making it in starting a business?
I think we talked about it before, but I will repeat this. And I've come to this through the series of interviewing literally hundreds of entrepreneurs. At first, you think it's passion, it's drive, it's all of those things. It's literally, and somebody just said this, I was on a panel at South by, I was talking on a panel for youth entrepreneurship with the United Nations. There's a guy sitting next to me. He simplified it the best way possible. Chop wood, carry water. Execution.
Chop wood, carry water.
Yeah, execution. Everything is about execution. You can have the best idea, the best dream, the best drive. You have to execute. You have to execute your plan. You have to continue to execute your plan. If you need to pivot, you pivot. You just execute. Nobody cares
But doesn't
about
that come
ideas.
automatically if you've got the
No.
great idea and the great drive? Then what are you
No.
doing with that drive? How do you fuck that up?
People sit around and wait for things to happen.
Yeah.
People wait for things to come to them. They think things are impossible.
Yep.
Execution is the key to everything. Do you know how many people sit on ideas? I meet 10 people a day that look at me and go, I have an idea. Just don't steal it from me. I don't give a fuck about your idea. You know how many ideas I have? I have hundreds of ideas. I can't
Yeah.
even execute on my own shit, let alone I don't want to listen to your shit.
Yeah.
Like, have an idea, then do it. Listen, how we got William Morris Endeavor. We called them. They're like, who are you? You're a nobody. Do you have a network show? No, go get one.
Yeah.
We got one, then we called him back. We got one. How did
Okay.
we get a PR agent in New York to take my call to do this? He's like, get me New York and LA. We got it.
Yeah.
So you have to continuously
Step
execute.
by step.
It's step by step. Chop wood, carry water. I think it's the best thing ever because this reminds me of my grandmother.
Yeah.
And I tell this story when I do keynote speeches, I have this picture when I was a little girl. We had a summer house in the Soviet Union, and I would come to the summer house to spend summers. My grandma was there. There was, you could pump water right there at the pump for her garden. Every day she made me carry 40 buckets of water. I had to go to a fucking place. It was, what is that called in English? A well.
A well, yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
I had to do
Crank the
this,
well.
crank the well, and then carry the water up
So
the
is it
hill.
one of the buckets where it goes down into the well?
100%.
and then
That's
you
what I
crank-
did every single day because she developed work ethic in me this way and she knew it. And I was pissed. I was like, I should just take a hose and stick it on that thing and I could innovate really quickly. She would not let me do this because developing a work ethic, which will lead to execution, is the
Yeah.
most important thing to do.
See, your family loved you. My dad, always talk about it. My dad fucked me so bad because I didn't have hardships. I didn't have, like, my parents never got divorced. The lights were always on. Anything I needed, they provided. It's like, fuck, man. You could have done me a solid by breaking up, letting me fucking struggle a bit.
But
Instead, it was easy.
struggle is important.
I know.
honestly.
They didn't give me struggle. That's the only thing I didn't get was fucking struggle. Everything was provided.
But then, like, how do you give struggle to your child now that I have a child?
Well, make them carry 40 fucking buckets
Yeah.
of water, gain a work ethic and a backbone. I'm a pussy now because my dad and mom fucked me.
Hey, Mike's dad and mom, what's up, man?
Oh my god, it's just funny. So you've got the great idea. You're broke as shit. I think people are terrified. They don't know what to do. They don't know who to call. Now, Google and Bing have made that easier. Like you said, you can go and go, who's running this fucking agency? And if you try, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You know?
So first of all, your idea will not be a new idea. I guarantee you that. Everything in the world
mine will be.
Everything in the world has been done. So let's start with that.
Okay.
Everything in the world has been done. So your new idea is probably take on somebody else's idea, which
I've
is
got
okay.
a mousetrap idea that'll blow your fucking mind. Okay.
So again, to see what people did, how did they start researching other people that got to where they are? I think that's extremely important. Second of all, there's a million fucking resources. If you're in Detroit, one of my favorite places is the Build Institute. Okay. April runs this place. You can go there. You can take a course for 8 weeks. It doesn't cost a lot of money. When you walk out there, I guarantee you will either have a flushed out idea or you're going to go, that's the worst idea I've ever have. And you will walk away from it, which will probably save you a lot of time and money. So there are resources everywhere. You know what? People email me all the time. I take emails and calls and I talk to people all the time. There's other people. Don't be afraid to reach out to people who are doing something similar.
Yeah.
Or read about...
No, that's true. I've learned that about you. I knew the first day I met you when we traded numbers. I think the first thing I texted you was, I need to work with you on something. And you were like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I talk to people all the time. I've had great mentors. I had an amazing mentor. I mean, he was God sent. Tom Lasorda, that used to be the CEO of Chrysler Corporation, through a crazy series of events became our mentor. He watched the show. He reached out through another person on LinkedIn. I take every coffee. Somebody reached out to me on LinkedIn. They said, I need to meet with you, ask you a series of questions because somebody wants to meet you. I said, sure, went to coffee. She asked me all these questions, called me. She's like, somebody wants to meet you. I walked into the office. It was Tom Lasorda, the former CEO of Chrysler.
Wow.
And he changed our game forever. He became our mentor.
Really?
Because he's seen our show. He wanted to meet us. And then in return, he's like, how can I help you? We're constantly trying to get into the minds of CEOs of major corporations.
Yeah.
What's in your mind? Like, flush out our presentation. And guess what? He did it. I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
Anything, I will never stop saying this. Anything is possible. And take your idea. Again, just reverse engineer it. Like, how is everybody else doing it? There's so much information out there. There's so much. And you can do a proof of concept. Like, you don't have to go and open up a brick and mortar. Girls from Drifter Coffee just opened up in Ferndale. For 2 years, they had a little thing that was attached to their car that they drove around and did their proof of concept. Before people go to the market, if it's a food idea, get a stall at Eastern Market. See if people like it.
Yeah.
See if they get used to it. What if it sucks? You can flush out your ideas now.
And it's crazy if you what I'm learning, because it was really hard for me to put myself out there when I started doing this. It was like, I'm comfortable on the microphone doing a talk show. I can do that, but I don't want to bother people. I don't know if my thing's good enough. I don't know. And you get stuck in this rut of spinning your wheels and waiting for things to come to you. And, you know, I take a call and it's like, hey, do you want to have Darren McCarty ever? Would you be interested? And I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, bring him in. Can he come in studio? Yes. Comes in studio. The Russian 5 movie happens to be a premiere going on like 2 weeks later. And it was like, hey, Mac, any chance? He's like, fuck yeah, you're coming with me. And we go there. I meet Josh. Immediately I go, Josh, I want to have you in studio. That movie's amazing. Can you come in? He's like, I can come in tomorrow or Sunday, whatever it was. Okay. Josh comes in. Relationship made. Josh, next time he comes in, brings you. Relationship made. It's like all these moments come together, and I could do that with Vinny from Sponge and Big E.
100%. So
it's crazy.
Your net worth is your network. Always remember that.
Yeah.
Your net worth is not your money, it's your network. And when you go out there, you network with people, you meet people, you build good relationships. Not based on the fact, what can I get out of it? But really, truly, relationships that go 2 ways. Because I always ask people, what can I do for you? What can we do together?
Yep.
What can we create that's cool? And once you stop concentrating on this thing of chasing money, I want to make, you know, I used to want to make $1 million by the time I turned 30. That was my goal when I was younger. That never happened. Fuck it. Who cares?
Yeah.
I didn't start really making money until I stopped giving a shit about making money.
Yeah.
Then everything changed.
Yeah.
Because you have a different purpose, and purpose is everything.
Well, it's interesting you say that about having people around, like, yeah, what can I do for you? But what can you do for me? It's got to be, and I've got a question here written out, like, are most people playing for themselves or for the team, the project? Because all I want is to have people in my life that, like, I know what Big E stands for. He is never, ever going to fucking do something that would hurt me to better him. Won't happen. I love that about him. I can't say that about everybody in my life. And it fucking drives me nuts because I just want people who can see the big picture and are willing to go there, not for themselves, but it was what made the Drew and Mike show work. We all stayed in our lanes. We all knew what we were doing, and we all won together. And we had success for 20 years.
Get rid of the people who don't suit you. It's okay. It's okay to outgrow relationships. It's okay to outgrow people. If you know what your purpose is, don't ever step down to the level of other people. That's another thing I learned. I used to be a people pleaser.
Yeah, me too.
It's very easy to be. Like, you want to be everybody's friend. You want to be liked. Fuck that. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because as you get older and you get wiser, hopefully, because that's what happens with age, wisdom is the only thing you gain with age. You can't gain it in any other way. You can't gain it from other people's experience. It's your experience. You want to surround yourself with people who are just like you. Okay? Why do you need all of that noise around you?
Yeah.
Nobody cares. And then people respect you more. Once I changed in the way where I only wanted
How did you change? How did you do that?
It's working on yourself consistently. It's through many different things. I think it's through habitat, it's through yoga, it's through meditation, it's through networking, it's through...
Were you afraid of confrontation?
Yes.
See, that's my biggest thing.
I'm a Libra. Libras used to be afraid of confrontation.
I
was afraid of confrontation for the longest time until I've learned not to be afraid of it. It's actually a good thing because if you know what you want and you're not willing to step down and sacrifice your beliefs, there's no reason not to have a confrontation if it's not working out.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to have an ugly confrontation. I think conflict resolution, we talked about it before, it's very simple.
Yeah.
Okay, like if I have a problem, I should be able to explain to you what my problem is. Then you should be able to listen to me, repeat to what I'm saying, because that's the important part, because I need to know if you're hearing me, okay? Then I need to take ownership what I could have done to create that problem myself, because it takes two people to tango. And then hopefully we can put it behind us. And that should all be done very calmly. But most people get very defensive. and the person doesn't want to listen. Because when you're talking, I'm listening.
Yes.
And when I am repeating back to you, I should be repeating back to you what you are trying to get at me, right? But most people don't do that because A, they're not listening.
Yep.
They're trying to get defensive, and they're talking about something completely different.
Or they're thinking about what they're going to say next.
Yeah, but it's not about that. It's not about that person at that moment. It's about how you feel. And when you're saying to me, Jen, I feel very offended by X, Y, and Z, I should be able to repeat that to you. You could say, I could have possibly allowed you to continue to treat me this way because I allowed it, so two of us participated in this. How do we go past this, you know?
Here's the problem. I know I'm always right. And so, since I'm always right, it means the other person is always fucking wrong.
You're such a Virgo. Lunatic.
No. Yeah, sociopath. No, I know what you're saying, and I have those moments. Nothing drives me more mad, though, when it's like, I know I'm not a bad person. I'm trying to hear your side. Here's my side. And E, you know this. We've been in these where someone won't give you a fucking inch. They just won't. And it's like, dude, I'm willing to concede. I could have handled this better. I hear you. You're right. I got to work on that, man. And it's like, I can't get a fucking inch out of someone. It's like, what? I don't get it.
Well, listen, there's people that are just stubborn, but I will just challenge you to one thing, which is always think in a conflict what your role is in it and what you could have done differently.
Yeah.
Even if you think the other person is wrong. And I think when you
they are.
Right, of course. Obviously they are. I think if you start to look at it this way, it takes two people to participate in something. And my advice would be, honestly, surround yourself with people that only bring you up. Surround yourself with people you can learn from. Surround yourself with people that you could do great projects with. Because life is too short. You never know what's going to happen.
Well,
tomorrow we could all fucking die. I mean, honestly. And what do you want to leave behind? Do you want to leave behind arguments with people that really shouldn't matter?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I don't need to be the guy. We've been talking about something with Big E, doing a project together, and I don't need my face on shit. I don't need to be in the picture. I don't need to be. I don't feel an urge to need to like be out there, but some people do, and
yes,
it makes jockeying for position and it makes things more difficult than I think it needs to be. I don't remember where I was going with
That's
that. But
why when you start something, set ground rules right off the bat and enforce those rules, and don't inch them away. I mean, these are the rules of the engagement, and that's how everybody needs to play by the rules. Everybody has rules.
Yeah.
And it can't be like loose. Here are the rules. That's how we operate. You're a company. You have operations.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to get into some other stuff with you too.
Let's do it.
So there's a huge debate going on, and I know you'll probably feel the way I do. It's just political horseshit and the immigration debate raging in this country. This country probably admits more immigrants and migrants on a yearly basis than any country on the planet. And yet now it's like, well, if you don't just open the borders and let everybody in, you're a racist. I wonder from a perspective of someone growing up in Russia, who's made life great for themselves, and taken full advantage of what you can do in this country, how you feel when you see these, or if you just tune it out. I mean, what are your thoughts personally?
Wow, immigration is such a big topic, right?
Yeah.
So this country was built on immigrants. Immigrants come here with nothing, and they are coming here for a reason to make the better life for themselves, but mostly their children, most of the time. That is the only reason you want to escape from somewhere, unless there's a huge political turmoil. I mean, when you look at Chaldeans that were almost killed.
Yeah. Gang-riddled areas and war zones, yeah.
So there's a lot of xenophobia in this country for many different reasons. You know, all these conversations that you listen to, oh, you come here to take the jobs, that's a bunch of fucking bullshit. Because immigrants are doing jobs that people don't want to do. I mean,
agree.
That's why when you see so many lashbacks against, for instance, Mexicans, and then you have
hardest working people you've ever met.
Then you have asparagus fucking dying everywhere. Why don't you go get a job picking asparagus, you motherfucker that just complained about this Mexican people taking your job?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it comes down to the legality of it all. How easy or difficult is it to gain entry into this country? How easy or difficult is it to be a law-abiding citizen in this country? Again, there are rules. You know, the goal always is, can you enter this country legally? Hopefully that's the goal. And I think there are sometimes exceptions how people end up here. I think the whole idea of there's so many children of their parents that grow up here. I mean, what are you going to do? These people grow up here. You're going to put them on a plane and ship them off?
It's retarded. It makes
to go
no
to a
sense
country
at all.
they don't even remember? I
Yeah.
mean, I've had friends deported, and it was a really painful thing, and it was
Sure.
over like a technicality. A friend of mine was deported and ended up spending like 10 years overseas, like with
Yeah.
nothing.
No,
he
I know
was
the guys
standing in his shorts, and they deported him.
Yeah, I know. I feel bad. You know, it becomes personal when you meet people that it's affected. You know, it sounds stupid, but I had guys working on the pool last year. They were redoing the coping and tile and all that shit. It was a pretty big job for a couple weeks. And there was a white guy in charge of the thing, and he was fucking late on everything. And his you know, I'll be there at 8 a.m. and he'd show up at noon 2 days later. It's a fucking train wreck. And he's like, yeah, my crew will be there. His crew came over, and there's 3 Mexican guys. One of them probably 8 years old, learning from his uncle and his dad. And these guys hustled. They worked their fucking asses off. They did everything they said they were going to do. And I talked to those guys. 2 of them didn't speak a lick of English, and 1 of them did. And I had the greatest time kind of talking to them and getting their perspective. And he's like, yeah, you know, he was telling me it's really hard, man. He's like half my crew's been, you know, kicked out of the damn country. They've been deported, and I can't get good help. He's like, no offense, I can't hire a white guy. And I'm like, no,
Right.
none taken. I know what we're like. I wouldn't hire one of me either. You know, no offense taken. And so you see that it's tough. It's tough. But then when you see, you know, I think when you came to this country, Jenny, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, you came to this country to join the country, to take advantage of what it has to offer, not to come over and set up a, you know, I see people with flags from all other countries marching in, demanding and just crashing borders. It's like, no, you know, you're supposed to join the pot of diversity and mix in together, join into what's already here that's made this country great.
Right.
You know, it's hard for every immigrant family that comes here. There's a whole generation of shit because the xenophobia that exists is real, right?
Right.
You come here, you set up, you know, I don't care if you're the fucking Chinese that came over here and landed in San Francisco and, you know, nobody liked them, trusted them. You could do it on the East Coast with, you know, any group, name it. And then it's like, oh, these guys aren't so bad. And their parents suffered for a fucking generation and their kids got the opportunity, you know? But they just wanted to come to this great country and take advantage of what it had to offer. I don't see that right now, though, necessarily.
Well, I think that changed. I mean, like, listen, we came here and we had a horrible time in Berkeley High School. People were so mean to us.
Yeah,
I mean, they used to throw
believe it.
food at us in cafeteria. They called us names. I mean, it was a horrible, horrible.
What they call you,
experience.
Ruski?
Who knows? We didn't speak any English. You know, it was a horrible experience the way people treated us. I think what has changed is this: when there was earlier immigration of time of immigrants, like the Italians coming over, the Irish,
sure,
this
Polish.
was the melting pot, okay, where all those people wanted to lose their identity. They no longer wanted to be who they are. They stopped teaching their children their language,
Change their names.
changed their names, they ate American food, they went to baseball games, they did all that. I think with the new generation of immigration that we're seeing in probably last 10, 15 years, it's no longer a melting pot. So
It's a
what
salad bowl.
I think it's a mosaic. That's how I see it. It's a mosaic of different people that we're kind of putting together, right? That want to keep their identity, that want to keep their culture, which I agree with you to a certain extent is kind of strange because they're not assimilating to this country.
Right.
But I think with the technology, like now, like for instance, my parents have Russian TV. When they came here, there was no Russian TV on satellite.
Right.
So they were slowly starting to lose their identity. And I think with the technology, what it's allowing people to do is to keep that identity. So you're right. Now we're in a country where we've got all these neighborhoods where people only speak their language, eat their food.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird. I always felt it was weird. Like, for instance, New York, there's 1.1 million Russians that live there. You know, there's Brighton Beach. Nobody speaks English. They've lived here for 20 years. I'm like, well, why the hell did you move?
Yeah.
You know, like I always had this thing. I know everything about my culture. My first friends were Jamaican. I listened to Bob Marley. You know,
Yeah.
like I have this idea that I want to melt into this world, but a lot of people don't. And I find it to be
it's odd.
strange. Yeah.
It's very strange. And I don't like the idea that you can't have a discussion like we're having right now without, oh my God, he's a xenophobe. He's a racist.
No,
like
it's
that,
an interesting
ends,
topic that you bring up.
Well, I think it's fascinating where it's like, if, you know, to people that have been there been here in this country our whole lives and have been told this is the greatest country on earth and the opportunity is unlike any other place in the world. And it's like, okay, Americans are very generous people, I think, anyways. You know, we've got our problems just like anyone else, but not by and large. And there's more immigrants coming into this country than anywhere on the planet. And when you see that this kind of weird demand and my flag, it's like, well, if your fucking flag is so great, then go back to where you came from,
Listen,
motherfucker.
I
do you want to join this party? Because this party isn't that.
I agree
You're
with
escaping
you.
that.
I agree with you. If you live
You
in
know?
this country, you should be flying an American flag.
And I'm not saying you can't fly your Dominican flag and your Venezuela.
Sure.
Fuck. I mean, I love it. That's why we have Little Italy and Little Russia you know.
But fly the American flag because you live here. Listen, I agree with you. I have these arguments with people all the time that are like, oh, Putin is so great. Russia is the best. I'm like, should I buy you a ticket? Are you moving back?
Yeah.
Like, I can't stand that shit. Like,
Yeah.
I really cannot stand that shit. Honestly. And I'm an immigrant. I love America. I want to fly the American flag because this is
Yeah.
where I live. I consider myself American. Yes, I came from another country, and I wish more people would do that. Somehow, they're just not capable. I think it's a fear of assimilation. I think a lot of it is a fear of assimilation. A lot of it is just they don't want to lose that identity. So it doesn't really happen until it happens to their children.
Yeah.
Like my niece that was born here, she doesn't consider herself Russian. She's an American. She grew up here.
Yeah.
She loves it. You know, I have another niece that wants to move to Russia. She considers herself Russian and she loves
Yeah,
it there. But
yeah.
her intent is to go live there because she loves it so much, which I think is the right thing to do if you love that culture and that
Yep.
country. That's where you should live. Sure, you can celebrate your culture and your country on a certain day, but this is America. Let's make it like you don't have to eat horrible American fast food. You could still be American. Like, I don't
Yeah.
eat that shit, you know. You don't have to watch baseball, but you want to be proud of the culture that is here.
Well, I think there's a real, it's a political debate now, and so it's split. And I fucking hate the elitists that run this country, who are taking advantage of these people that are coming here and desperate and turning it into a political argument. And it's just keeps splitting people when you're just like, oh, if you don't want open borders and people just come on in, whoever the fuck you are, and just do whatever you want. You don't have a job, you don't have any education, you have no concept of the culture. Come on in because you're banking on that being a vote down the road for your party. I think that's awful, and it kills the debate when it's just like, if you go, boy, that seems fucking odd. Why would we just?
I don't know,
do
but
that?
who is asking for that? That seems crazy.
There's a lot of people that are asking for a lot of shit close to that, creeping up to that. It's what scares people, I think. And you can't even have the discussion in public without people going, oh my God, racist. We're being fed this idea that everybody's a racist or a xenophobe or a homophobe or a misogynist or this or that. And it's tiring. It's exhausting. And I pay too much attention to it because of my job. But I don't like that debate of the southern border with Mexico being used as a weapon against people. You know what I mean? Probably don't know what I mean. I guess I don't want the government involved in all this shit. I don't want government paying fucking health care for anybody that walks in here and paying for social services.
I don't think we will ever get to that point.
I don't know.
I don't think
we might have
I don't
this
think we
discussion.
will ever get to that point. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a bigger sort of conversation.
Well, I mean, you have to notice the handout nature of a lot of things in this country, and I'm not, coming in all over, and government programs set up, and that's. I mean, I would find that offensive if I was you. You're like, dude, I did it. Come in with no money and no nothing.
Well,
and
I mean,
just
we had support from the Jewish community when we came here. I mean, it was support for 6 months, but it was support from them.
What does that mean? Like housing?
They
food?
paid for housing, yeah, some food, furniture, things of that nature. There were programs in place for refugee Jews. I don't think there's anything wrong with controlled government programs because sometimes people need help.
Yeah. Obviously.
And that's good because we should give back to the people that we can give back to. You know, that's the whole idea of it. If we're going to be the greatest country on earth,
Yeah.
we should help people that need help. And everybody could eventually need help. It's just how is it structured?
Yeah.
Who is a part of it? I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it.
I don't like the word socialism being thrown around.
And I think we're so far away from socialism.
I hope you're right.
I think
I'm
it's
sure
not
we
even
are, but-
close. Coming from a socialism, communism sort of direction, it's not even close. You know,
Yeah.
but what's happening now in this country politically too? I mean, I'm sorry, it's just It's, you know.
Fucking nightmare. You know what? Jay stopped paying attention. He's like, fuck it, I'm out. I can't watch this shit anymore. And I do it whenever we're on vacation. I just shut it down, and I'm like, oh, man, it's so much better. Life is so much better when you don't pay attention to the talking heads.
I mean, I think people are scaring people to believe that we're on the verge
Yeah.
of socialism. That's not possible in this country.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. DJ LaFemme. People can still follow you on Twitter at Jenny LaFemme. LaFemme.
Yes.
LaFemme. Easy for me to say. How did that come to be?
So I had to pick a DJ name when I became a DJ. I was
Yeah.
like, I need a DJ name.
Marshmallow was taken.
Because obviously my name is Evgenia Vladimirovna Feterovich. Nobody would ever remember that.
What?
Yeah, that's my real name.
What? Say that again, please.
Evgenia Vladimirovna Feterovich.
Even hotter. You're even more beautiful now.
Can you still spell that or no?
Yeah, of course I can spell that. We'll be here for another hour.
Okay.
So that's why I became Jenny, because it was like, what? What's her? No.
How'd you pick Jenny?
My sister's like, why don't you just be Jenny? I'm like, sold. Like
That's it?
Yeah, that's
How did-
exactly.
You know
How
what?
did
Just keep checking shit off the list.
Yeah,
Name,
yeah.
Jenny, done.
I
On to
got
the next thing.
I got exiled by my parents for being a horrible teenager to Napa, California, where my sister lived, and I was about 16.
How old's your sister?
My sister's 11 years older than I am.
Okay.
So I was about 16, and I was exiled, and then I was watching all these American shows, 90210, Who's the Boss. That's how you learn English.
Monica.
Yeah.
Angela,
He's like, why so my sister's like,
Samantha.
your name, nobody can say it. It's horrible. Why don't you just be Jenny? I'm like, sold. I'll take it. Jenny it is.
And you just went and changed it just like that? to
Well,
Jenny?
it's not legally changed. I'm just,
So your
legal
license,
is-
does your license have like,
yes, it has my real name.
oh, I need to see that.
And
before you leave.
everywhere where my real name is, people are just dumbfounded. They're
Holy
just
shit.
like, they're like, it's Jenny.
Have you thought about changing it legally at this point or no?
You know,
that.
I was like, first I was like, oh, maybe I should change my last name. It's so long, it's hard to spell. But then my parents won't kill me. That's the name they gave me. So I'm just stuck with it. So I'm just
I didn't
Jenny.
know where your first name ended and your last name started.
Yeah,
in that thing you
exactly.
said.
That's-
So it's not Feterovich. It's more than
Feterovich is my last name.
last name.
Yeah, my
Feterovich.
first name is Evgenia. And then
Evgenia.
you carry your father's name in the middle, so it's Vladimir, so it's Vladimirovna. So Evgenia Vladimirovna Feterovich.
So, okay, hold on. Evgenia Vladimir Feterovich.
Yes.
Oh, I get. You said it so fast. I didn't pick up any of that. Evgenia.
So I was time to
Vladimir.
pick the DJ name, and when I started DJing, there wasn't a lot of women DJs at all. I think I knew maybe 2 or 3. And I was like, oh, it'd be cool to do something French, which is La Femme is a woman in French. So that's
Yeah.
how I came up with this. I'm like, it sounds good and exotic in America. What's funny is when I go to play in Paris, people just always laugh because it's literally like
The
Jenny
woman.
the woman.
Jenny the woman.
They're like, why the fuck would you come up with that name? I'm like, well, it sounds everywhere else good in the world, okay?
So how does that start? I mean, I know you're just gonna figure it out. But like, what makes you pick it? You're watching Who's the Boss one day,
Yep.
and then you got
It
what?
starts very easy. So
You find MTV, and all of a sudden,
No, I found much better thing than MTV. So as you know, we came here, we had nothing. I didn't have a bed. I had a couch, a miserable couch. We lived over in Oak Park, 10 Mile in Greenfield, apartments called Northgate.
yeah.
And we couldn't afford like the top floor, so we live in a basement. So I was really bored, rebellious, because all of a sudden we came to America. My parents had no jobs, and they decided to parent me because they didn't really parent me much before. I was like, oh shit, this really sucks.
Yeah.
So
and you're just you're waiting to bust out in
Oh,
America.
yeah,
just go,
yeah,
rock
for
star
sure.
party. Yeah.
So I was bored and punished a lot, so we had no cable. So I found the new dance show. Have you ever watched the new dance show?
The new dance show.
It is the
Remember
best.
Soul Train.
Okay. So it's the poor man's Detroit version of the Soul Train that
Okay.
took place in somebody's basement. It is the most genius thing ever. So the people, like, it's the ghetto version, Detroit version of the Soul Train.
Yeah.
They played the best music. Okay.
It's like house music.
House techno. They broke all the latest hits. You know, it was the time of the
Totally
electrifying emoji, totally underground. They had the best outfits, and I would just watch them. Like, I have to find where these people are.
Where did
They're-
this air?
Channel 62.
Really?
Yeah, Channel 62. You
Okay.
can find it on YouTube. You laugh your ass off. You will enjoy it. I
You write it
promise
down,
you.
whatever it is. Pull it up.
The
or
new
something.
dance show.
The new dance show.
So I would watch this. Yep, that's RJ. So I would.
you know who
They will get. They will get in the line and they will just go down the center and they wear their best outfits and I will stand there and go, God, I gotta find these people. Like, where are they?
Go ahead, E. Play a second of it. Let's see.
Give me something to mix with, Jesse. Okay.
So see the music? I mean, it was
This
like
is something for the
groundbreaking.
And you're watching this, and it's in your backyard. It's in Detroit.
Yeah, it's in Detroit. I'm watching this while
Fast
I'm on
forward,
the
he
park.
gets better.
Yeah. So,
And you're just getting off to this.
yeah, I'm like, look at them. I mean, I'm like a little girl that just came from the Soviet Union. Look at that set. All night they would just dance to the best music. I was like, I need to find out where these people are because this is my people. Somehow I felt like I need to be a part of this.
Hell yeah.
So eventually I ended up at a place called Club Heaven. It was on 7 Mile in Woodward. It was a gay after-hours club.
Okay.
I was about 16, 17 years old, and it was a lot of people like
It's an
that.
after hours.
Yeah, it was after hours. I
So you're
snuck out of my parents' apartment. So I found a lot of people like that, and that was like the epicenter of the house music community in Detroit. It was the best place.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the absolute best place in the world. They played the best music. That's where all the party people were. And I just became friends with a lot of different people and with the DJs, and I just became a part of the house music scene in Detroit. I'd probably on any given day be one of the 2 white people in there, let alone like a Russian Jewish girl. Like I had no business being there.
What's
it was
your
so
English
much
like
fun.
at this point?
It was okay. It was decent. But I came there for fun and to like dance and watch people. And I started watching all the DJs. We became friends. You know, I was watching them do this. And one day I went to a Russian party and it was horrible. Like they played the worst music. It was the worst setting. No, this is like whatever they played. So I was like, ooh, this really sucks. And I've been to some good parties, so I can do. No, nobody was doing the high stepping dance. This is not
How
like
insulting was what he just said there.
It's not insulting, but I feel like that's the only thing that people know about them. Yeah, and we had bears and vodka.
Bears and vodka.
Dancing with us.
Hey, they gave us Jenny. Shit, it's not Jenny. It's
Evgenia.
Evgenia. Russia also gave us Evgenia, Vladimir, Feterovich.
See,
I'm gonna fucking practice. I'm gonna blow you away next time. So I'm sorry. You go to this Russian party and
so
it sucks.
it sucks, and I'm like, ooh, I can throw a better party than that. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I've seen good
Was
parties.
it supposed to be like a house party? Like
No, it was like at a Russian restaurant.
Okay.
I'm like, I'm gonna do my own Russian party. So I rent out on Christmas Eve because Jews have nothing to do, so we can party. I rent out a synagogue on 10 Mile. I rent out the hall. And I'm like, I'm going to throw this party. Everyone's like, who's going to DJ? I'm like, I don't know. I've seen how people do it. I'll figure this out. Just like you said. So I call Ross the Boss and Chuck Daniels. They were renting equipment, and they were also DJs. I said, bring me over some equipment. Just show me how to do this. I'll figure this out.
Waka wakas.
And then the best part comes. I hire drag queens because I'm in that scene. I'm not in the Russian scene. So you should have seen 300 Russian people seeing drag queens for the first time in a synagogue setting on Christmas Eve. I was like, if I'm not going to be struck by lightning right now, I will live for a long time.
What did they?
They
were
were
they
just
horrified?
They were horrified.
Yeah.
They were like, what the fuck is this? What are these people? They've never seen
Did
anything
they have fun
like
though?
They did have fun. It was
Yeah.
a great party, and that was my first step into the DJ culture.
So what? You're just hit and play on a
Yeah,
record.
hit
at
and
that
play.
point. You're
Obviously,
like,
I can't mix anything, but nobody
Yeah.
cares. I mean,
Yeah.
it's about music selection. It's about the fun. Like I had
Yep.
a fun party atmosphere, and I basically started throwing parties from that time. And eventually I got better because I started to practice. I started buying vinyl, started buying records, but I only played for Russian people for a long time until I met Stacey Hotwax Hale, the godmother of house music of Detroit. She was a radio personality for a long time.
Wasn't she in your movie? Was she in
The Girls Gone Vinyl? Yeah. So we
Okay.
became really good friends. She's my soul sister.
Yeah.
And she gave me an opportunity to play for the people that I saw on the new dance show. I always wanted to play for real, true, like black house music culture. That was always my dream.
Underground.
I
deal,
love the music. And she's like, I love your soul. You have soul. Come play at my party.
So what, at this point, you have 2 turntables, and you're kind of like going between. I mean, are you
Yeah,
doing, like,
I learned how to DJ. It took me a while, of
Yeah.
course. It's the technical
so you're able
skill,
to seg
and it was
between
vinyl.
songs, so
yeah.
it's smooth and
Yeah.
line up beats. And,
Yeah, it was vinyl back then. It took me a long time because I was
Yeah.
completely tone deaf, so it takes you even longer because just, that's what it is. And then she brought me out to play one of her parties, and, people were shocked at first. They were like, just like going, what does she know about house music?
Yeah.
Stacy's like, you don't have to look at
Weird
her.
Jewish white Russian woman.
Stacy's like, you don't have to look at her. Just close your eyes and listen to her soul.
Yeah.
And we became friends ever since. And just my career just started building, and I've traveled the world. I've played all over the place, and I've
Crazy.
really enjoyed touring. And
Do you get the respect, do you think, from that, or is it like, hey, cool, it's a gimmick. We got a girl doing it here. I'm sure there was there had to be some shit you caught. Like, what are you doing?
For sure. I think in the true house music Detroit crowd, I eventually earned respect.
Sure.
From playing good music and the vibes and the people. So that was there. As a female DJ, I've taken more shit for years and years and years. I mean,
what kind of shit would you take? Like,
oh, you're pretty good for a girl.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I will outplay you on any day of the week. Any day of the week. I'm not pretty good for a girl. I'm fucking good.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know girls can mix records. I mean, you name it.
That's just so funny. Like,
insulting offers to sleep with people to get a gig, which I'm sure they would never offer to a
guy.
To a guy. But mostly, like, literally, I was in South Africa, and these two guys were dumbfounded that they ever would see a woman that can mix music. Like, literally.
That makes no sense. Like, I get it if there's a girl that's on your football team and it's like, you're pretty fucking good wide receiver for a girl. But what does DJing have to do with the differences between a man and a female? Like, most girls I know have more rhythm than guys do.
I don't know. It's the craziest thing. Every woman in this business has gotten that. Every single woman. So either they think you're a gimmick because you're a girl. Somehow you're not supposed to be there because... think about it. It's a club, and the DJ controls everything. It's a position of power. A lot of people don't think about it that way. But you are in control. Just like in many other businesses, when you see a woman in a position of power, what happens? There's always doubt, right? There's always...
I don't know, man. My best boss I ever had was a woman.
You're different. I mean,
that's no bullshit. Best boss I ever had.
It's hard to break
I
into
wanted to
this.
work hard to impress her. I wanted to bang her. I wanted everything. But she was awesome. She was fair. She was great. She was just pro.
You're different. You're different. And especially when it comes to clubs, right? Which is all about what happens in the nightlife, in the nightclub life. It's not very female friendly to begin with. I mean, let alone in a position of power where you're driving the dance floor.
That's interesting. Driving the dance floor. That's right. You're in control of the whole club.
Of the whole fucking thing.
You're not a bartender who's in control of his little station.
No.
Everyone there that's hearing shit is you're responsible for.
100%.
That's interesting.
You are in a position of power. You're driving that. And then, like, literally, you'd get, like, 20 dudes standing there staring at your mixer, like, to see if you can really mix a record. Like, why? Do you know me? Like, do you know how many records I miss? What? Like, if you walked into this club and there was a dude standing there, you would never walk up and do that.
Yeah.
Never. You would never doubt, even though he's probably 10 times worth a DJ than I am, can't mix two records together. That would never enter your mind to go up there and look if he's really mixing or he's doing something else.
Yeah. It's interesting as I read more about it and see, I mean, there's no doubt the EDM world that he is into, Tomorrowland, all these massive festivals, Marshmello did that thing in Fortnite the other, like, couple months ago, a month ago.
Something like that.
And 10 million people showed up in the game to virtually watch him DJ. I mean, I don't know where this is going, but it's massive, and I wouldn't give it a chance because I love music as much as anybody. I love it, love it, love it. It's why I got into the career I got into. But I love musicians. I have so much respect for learning to master that instrument. It's really hard. It takes extreme talent to do it at that level. And so when I watched DJs early on, it was like, fuck that, man. You're just taking what some pro dumped down. And, but I know it's not that simple.
Of course, it's not that simple. Listen, nothing is that simple. You have to have skill. It's different.
How much skill is there involved for it?
There's a lot of skill. It's not just about mixing records. I mean, think about it. You are driving the crowd. You have to feel the crowd. It's not like you're just putting things out there. I mean, it's all about music selection and putting the records together, taking people on a musical journey. I mean, we're not talking about these mega festivals.
That's what I was going to say. You should really realize that when you're talking about Tomorrowland and stuff like that
No,
to her.
I know.
Yeah, that's like production quality. That's entertainment. That's almost like Vegas.
Yeah.
I mean, a true DJ can take you on such a journey. They can make you happy. They can make you sad. They can make you
get that
sweat.
feeling at those festivals,
Well,
too.
I do, but I will say, like, when I got into electric music, and I was talking with you about this the last time we were here, though. When I got into it first, though, again, like a lot of things, I got into the top. Okay, this is EDM.
Right.
Now, it happens to be that I have more gotten into house and techno, which more what Jenny does. So she's right.
Yeah,
like,
so it's the difference between seeing a club band versus seeing a stadium band.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, listen, there's a lot of feeling of why people do what they do. Think about DJs. Like, I love house music. Stacy loves house music. We love that feeling. And those records are not easy to make. You know, when you listen to true good house music, there's a lot of production that goes in there. There's a lot of skill. There's a lot of talent. And there's DJs that are also producers. It's just, you're talking about apples and oranges you're comparing. And I challenge you to come to a house music party.
I'll go with
me.
you.
And you'll
Fuck
see,
yeah, I'd go with
and you'll
you.
see what kind of vibe, and it's unity, it's community, it's dancing. It's just, it's a lifestyle, and it's a different thing. You know, and to your point, those top 10 EDM, 20 DJs that are right now making millions of dollars, there's not a single woman on that list. Why?
Really?
Not a single one.
What are you waiting for?
Not
She
interested.
doesn't want to do EDM, I don't think.
Not interested.
So how do you end up traveling the world doing it? I mean, you get a call from someone in Paris that says, "Hey,
You just start playing places and people see you just like in everywhere else. You know, you do a party at the Winter Music Conference. You know, you do a party at another festival. I played Detroit Electronic Music Festival.
Yeah,
You get
the original.
noticed. You make the name for yourself. You're out there on social media. You know, you just have to promote yourself, and that's how you get noticed. You get invited to play clubs, get invited to play festivals, gigs, and you start to travel.
Well, Mike, when I talked to her the last time about this, when she's telling you about like going through a journey, like I asked her about like how long her sets were, and basically you told me like you wouldn't even rather not even do 2 hours, right? You
No.
said 4 hours
Yeah.
at least, almost.
really?"
Yeah, because it's not, you know, I can take you on a musical journey. I can dig deep. I can take out beautiful music. I can make you sweat. I can bring you down. I can bring you up. You know, it's just,
Well, I don't know, and I'm sure I'm being horribly offensive, and I don't mean to be. I'm just ignorant when it comes to this stuff. So,
It's okay.
you know, but I'm honestly curious because, and we'll wrap it up. We've already gone long, but you know, back in the 80s and 70s when this sort of thing started, and you literally had 2 turntables and a microphone, and you could see what guys were doing. You could see where the talent came, the flipping of the record and lining something up and scratching and all that kind of stuff, and to get that to be as smooth as it was and keep that beat going, there's a real talent in that. And just like everything else, you know, you got Pro Tools. I can sound like a fucking rock star. I can sound like an actual musician or singer with Pro Tools. Digitally, you don't, you know, I guess I'm wondering how much of that is just like for some of those people. I'm not talking about club house music, but these DJs that we see, you know, with these like fucking pads, and I don't know what the hell they're doing or if there's any talent there. Is some of that fraudulent? Is some of that total bullshit?
it's a show. It's entertainment. All
Right.
it is, I mean, honestly, those guys, and there's obviously a demand for them in the marketplace because they're there. Because that's what they get paid to do.
Right.
For some reason, and I personally don't like it, you will never see me at one of those events. It gives me a headache. I don't understand it.
Yeah, Jay fears he sees.
But it just, it
Lights.
has, the culture has moved. It's probably related to certain drug consumption, that party mode. And that person there is there to entertain that party. It's a show. It's not really, to me, that's not the real skill of DJing. And a true purist will say the same thing. It's not really about the music. It's a show.
Is there
Yeah.
a DJ that's in that top like 10 or 100, like, I don't know, Martin Garrix, any kind of names that you know? Like, is there a DJ that you know that you think, you know, I know from other people that he's legit? Like, is there someone that you would know
I
if
mean,
you
David Guetta used to be legit.
Okay.
Bob Sinclair used to be legit. I mean, they had great records. I own them. They started out as house music DJs, making real house music.
What about
playing
Skrillex, or is that his name? Skrillex?
Yeah.
Skrillex? I'm not into dubstep, but listen, the guy is a producer. He creates a lot of that
Yeah.
genre. I don't like that genre of music, but I respect him for what he's doing. He's created his own genre and he's sustained it,
Mm-hmm.
and people enjoy it. To me, it sounds kind of angry. I don't like angry things.
Yeah,
I'm
I
with you,
didn't.
man.
I didn't know what the fuck he was doing, and then I heard him do some crossover stuff with some artists, and I was like, "Damn, that's pretty good." And it's a producer. That's a good way to.
Yeah, I think he's more of a producer than a DJ. I mean,
What is
again,
Daft Punk?
Daft Punk, I mean, those guys are cool. They're producers and they put on a show. They're not really DJs. I mean, Daft
Yeah.
Punk is like the
Well,
next.
it's electronic.
Yeah, it's electronic pop almost that has become. You know,
Yeah.
it's something that Kraftwerk created and got built on. You know,
Yeah.
it's music accessible to a lot of people because not everybody's gonna enjoy true house and true techno. It's very underground. You have to. It's like a connoisseur type of thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, I've put so much of that stuff off. Like, I know I'll probably like it, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to add, and I don't want to fucking change now. I'm stuck in my ways. And a couple of years ago, Daft Punk had a song, and I was dumping it down for something we were doing here production-wise. and I dumped the whole fucking album down. I couldn't stop. I thought it was fucking amazing. I was like, holy
It's
shit!
really
I
good.
never.
So just go enjoy one night. I mean,
I'll go with you. Seriously, I'll
Yeah.
take you up on that. I'll go. I'd love to.
I'm
do
telling
that.
you, dude. I haven't seen full sets of her doing that, but when she talks about when you say like you were scared of this music, for me personally, when I found electric music, it was like. It was one of the things that has made me now more happy than I've ever been in my entire life is electric music. It is
Yeah.
the only thing I can go to. I love country music. I can't go to a country music without getting shit-faced. I can go to an electric music, what she does, house music. I can go till 4 a.m. sober by myself and
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
Molly, no drinking.
I don't,
no
I don't do drugs when I go to the house music
I
and
don't
stuff.
really drink, and if it's a good DJ
cha-cha.
and it's a good vibe, you can just enjoy it completely sober because it's about that. People
God, you guys are
dancing
weirdos.
and having
It
that.
is, though. You have to experience it
It's
to
the
get
body
it,
high.
though.
No, he talks about a body high. He's made
Yeah.
family members. He's part of the Turtle family. He met out on the road.
It's just a group of people. I went to a solo festival. I was going to a festival in Atlanta last year, more mainstream stuff.
Yeah.
But I was going solo, and so I've got in this Facebook group and met about 10 people. And now we go to festivals throughout the country
Sweet.
together.
Yeah, so it's like a family thing, community thing.
Yeah. Jenny, thank you so much for coming in. This
Thank
is
you
so
for
fun. Is there
having
anything
me.
did we miss anything?
I don't think so.
yeah,
I
what
just-
crazy things that you did in the 10 seconds that we didn't talk about?
Craziest
No, I'm
things?
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Listen, I'm already.
I'm just kidding.
I'm a
just kidding.
serious woman now. I'm trying to scrub
Oh.
the internet now. So.
You're my favorite person on the planet right now.
Oh my God.
You are. I
thank
love you. Yeah, I'm serious. I did want to mention, stop by Hamlin Pub. Watch your favorite team on one of their numerous TVs and enjoy sports. Specials like $7 medium hand-tossed pizzas, boneless wings, or nacho supreme. Of course, oh God, I can't read Jay's fucking handwriting. Anyway, that's good enough. They'll be all right. They can survive with that. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me, guys. You're so much fun. I always want to come and hang out with
Yeah,
you guys.
you've got an open invite any time you want. We have not done a show that's over an hour and 30 minutes in years, and we just went an hour and 45.
Awesome.
We're at an hour and 46 and counting. So that's how much we love having you in, and we'll do it again. We're going to work on some stuff. We'll save discussions for another time about stuff like that. But
Sounds good.
and I can't wait to meet Portland. I want to meet Portland.
Portland, the poodle is ready.
Yeah, I want to have him hang out with the little guy upstairs, Peanut.
Peanut.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Continued success, and let's get you an Oscar. How cool! I want to fucking know an Oscar winner. That cool. I'll brag about that too.
The nomination will be good enough.
Fine.
But
Yeah.
yeah, let's
Yeah, my
get
friend
it.
was nominated for an Oscar. That's cool. I could say that. It'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks everybody for listening. E, is there anything else you need to mention? You good?
Actually, you know what? I wouldn't mind throwing out there, dude. I've done like 3 of them right now, but for anyone that wants to still ask like questions for the members area, I'm doing nothing in the members area where I'm kind of answering questions about my life. I've talked about NASCAR and some other shit, and I got another one coming up this week. But if anyone wants to send me more, I'm up for it. So,
Yeah. So where do they send them?
Eric at DetroitCast.com or Facebook, any of that shit.
Okay. And
Any questions you have about my life from any period of my life, I'll talk about in the members area.
okay. And Jenny, why don't you plug your stuff? What do you got? Russian5film.com.
The Russian 5. No, not the film. Just it's called the Russian5.com. So you
Okay.
guys check that out.
Yep.
Check out Startup Television Project, okay? Startup-USA.com.
Yes.
Go on PBS. You can watch all 6 seasons for free.
Okay.
We're going into season 7. And check out Cream on Wednesday.
Yes. The magazine.
Yeah, the Cream magazine, Doc.
Boy Howdy, it's called.
Boy, howdy, yeah.
And
And
that'll
hopefully
be,
when we do the Detroit event for the Detroit Ice Stars, we'll see some people there.
are you on Twitter a lot? Do you use
I
that?
just started. I was forced to start this whole Twitter
okay.
thing.
Do you want people to find you on there?
Sure, they can find me. I'm enjoying Twitter. I was off of
Yeah.
it, but then I'm like, ooh, this stuff is happening. I need to be a part
Yeah,
of this.
it's great in some respects. It's a sewer in others, but you'll figure that out. At Jenny
Jenny LaFemme.
LaFemme. I want to say
L-
LaFlame for some
I
reason,
don't
like
know
the
why.
fucking because there's a TV anchor in town, LaFlame, Anne-Marie LaFlame. That's so I
Okay.
keep getting mixed up. You know the blonde from Channel 7?
I better change my name.
No, it's good. LaFemme,
Yeah.
Femme.
Yes.
There you go. So you can find her there. Thank you again for coming in. Thanks everybody for hanging with us. Hope you had a good time. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Detroit Cast with your hosts, Mike and Jay. From all of us at Radio for One Studios, thank you for listening. And as always, thank you, Detroit.